don't worry. In a second, I'm gonna go live. All right, quality seems to be excellent. Checking the sound. I'm gonna watch my S's. I know there's a on the thing when I do that, like Herbert the. All right, let's get this started. We're gonna be ranking characters from season three. The characters that are still in season three. I know some of the characters. There are characters in season two and season one, but we're just going to focus on the ones that are in season three that we know about. I already have the tier lists open here, so we're going to check this out. Now, um, we're going to start in order of, I want to say appearance, but not to spoil it until we get to the moment. Let's see. Yeah, that's strange. Sorry, I'm trying to join my own live. I just want to make sure. Okay. All right, it's looking good. I joined it right now. Okay, so I'm gonna get started whether there's anyone here or not, cause this is a video I actually wanted to make. I was just watching season three last night again, and I was trying to, cause a lot of times I'll watch something new and it will feel like the most amazing thing ever. I'm trying to avoid that, cause I know there are some problems with this season, but I honestly think that season three was better than season two, and apparently that's a hot take right now. Let me mute this. Okay. Okay, so now here's the thing. I think a lot of the characters they could have had a better arc and a lot could have been done with them. But essentially the thing that I like the most about this season is we just get to see the games being played by these people. And if you haven't finished Squid Game season 3 yet, you should not be here anyways. So I'm just going to say like in the final game you have a lot of characters who you don't know the name of, or they're kind of just random. They even the subtitles, maybe some of them they haven't named the character yet. So we pretty much just see players playing Squid Game, playing the death games. And I was okay with that, even though I think the season could have benefited significantly more if they kept in our heavy hitters or more people that we liked. But we could not have expected a happy ending for this all. So um, it didn't end the way I thought it was, but I'm actually satisfied with the way it ended. So let's get into this. We're gonna start with the detective here. I'm just gonna put them at the top for now. All right, so we have the detective, Junho, right? I'm ho- I'm I hope I'm saying the names right. This will also be a test to see how well I remember the characters, not just their numbers, but their actual names. So this guy, he spent the entirety of season two and season three looking for the islands. I think they finally discover where it could possibly be at the end of the second to last episode, which would be episode five. But he doesn't actually get on the island until the last episode. He's there for maybe 15 minutes, and I just thought about now, like the entire reason why he was going to the island is to, well, we know his motive is he wants to know what's up with his brother, why he's in these games, why he's doing all this. But he was supposed to save everyone before they all died, but literally 455 players were eliminated already by the time he gets there. So he only saved two players. He immediately goes down. I made this category specifically for him because he was kind of pointless. You guys seen the Dora the Explorer memes with him? Like he's just exploring all the islands. He doesn't know that Captain Park is sus. like sus AF, and the loan shark that we see, he's more of a detective than this guy here, because he actually stayed. Uh, he actually looked for evidence and everything, and he came in clutch when he grabbed the phone and he went to make that phone call. He did like a hail mary to save them, even though he was only able to save two of them. He still came in clutch, and it's so sad because we get to see these awesome mercenaries, but they don't really do anything actually besides get shot at. So that was that entire story arc was kind of pointless. Kind of pointless, yeah. Okay. Now we're gonna go here. We have the son and the mom. Uh, yeah, I don't remember the names. I know he's 007, player 7, and she's is it 149, 148 or 149? I was gonna put them separate. I guess I'll just talk about them separately, but I'm gonna class them together. So for when I saw the trailer, actually their story and their story arc was definitely something that's of high interest to me, and I want to see that dynamic because in the trailer we see them go on different teams. For the actual hide and seek game, they don't actually have to be enemies. The red just have to eliminate a blue player. The blue players have to run the timeout or find the exit. So, and there's an important thing to note. Actually, let me just rank it first. So I would actually, might be a hot take, but I'm going to put them in great character. I was deciding between perfect or good. I think they fall in somewhere in between for both of them. The mom, she might get perfect development and entertaining to watch. The son, I'd probably give him more so on the good or great side. The son, I feel like there was more there that could have been shown instead of told, but um, I think his character is actually pretty important to the entire idea of Squid Game because he's got an addiction, a gambling addiction, a money addiction, to where he's willing to bet a lot or risk a lot. Even if he's on a losing streak, he'll continue to bet on making just a little bit more. And it was sad when the mother was going over how he would blame everything on himself and how he kept just doing the wrong thing, getting into more trouble, losing more money, and he was considered like a failure and everything. But that's still her child, so she loved him regardless and would step into hell just to make sure he's okay, which she kind of did when she came into Squid Game on his behalf. Um, and I know towards the end of the second episode, Starry Night, the subtitles said I'm sorry, but you hear him say I'm sorry a lot, and the son actually says something else. I heard this from a comment because they're actually to properly translate it. The son actually says it's my fault, I was wrong, referring to when they switched because he wasn't able to eliminate any other player. I'm saying eliminate to avoid saying the actual word, but to avoid eliminating another player. The mom probably could have brought herself to do it. The son, he wasn't able to, so he was apologizing for that. Still blaming himself, actually. So I say they're both entertaining. She obviously gets more screen time because she survives for the next episode. But them together, I think that was an interesting dynamic having them both in the games. They probably would have got perfect. I would have been 100% okay with putting them in perfect if they were to last a bit longer together, or if there was some shift in the story arc for them. Because there's honestly a lot that the writer could have done with these two characters, even if they brought them to the final games to kind of test their characters. I think we know more about the mom than the son, but we know a lot about the son because of what the mom says. So that's why I think they both have great characters, and it's tragic because she's like a good pure soul, good-hearted, wants to do the right thing. She's kind of like uh, Jihon in the first season, and she just wants the games to end. She wants to help everyone. She wanted the games to end specifically for the sake of 222. She didn't care if like she died during the games, but for the sake of 222, she wanted to leave. So yeah, I'd say they're pretty great. I mean, I know 007 wasn't anyone's favorite because he didn't fight hard enough to stick with his mom during the Mingle game, but I like both their characters. I wish they would have survived longer, but I'm okay with their story arcs. Oh, hello, hello, hello. I see you guys. XDR King. Sorry, wasn't looking at the chat there for a second. My favorite. Okay. Wait, so Hyunju, oh really? Hyunju's your favorite. Hmm. Where would I He's one of my favorite characters, him and the mother, but there's a couple other characters that I much prefer. I thought they were great. There's a lot of people hating on him, but I was always rooting for him. Um, yeah, but he definitely wasn't one of the stronger characters, players. I mean, not characters, stronger players in the game. So if he wasn't eliminated here, he probably would have been eliminated somewhere along the lines, down the lines. Let's go. This is Dehjo. I'm very familiar with Dehjo. I'm gonna rank them first. So Dehjo, mm, whoops, I didn't mean to put it and drop the ball. I'm gonna put him in. Ah, you know what? I'm put him in disappointing. I There was nothing wrong with his character per se, and I was on the side of you like Namgu and Minsu as well. I gotta hear why. I'll let you guys know why I actually because I'm so on Minsu. Actually, you know what? Namgu's okay for the role that he's playing. He's all right. Minsu absolutely didn't like his character in season 2, but in season 3 I was okay. I was okay with him by the end. Uh Dehho though. Hmm. Cuz right out the gates when Jihun heard about him not collecting the magazines and coming back, I was already on the mindset. I was like, he's lying about his military service, and other people were like, he has PTSD. So there's two sides of this. Some people are like PTSD. Other people were like, he's lying about the whole thing. We find out he's just lying about the whole thing. So I found that interesting, but he didn't get enough time to kind of develop that. We just find out he's a liar, and he's a character that will say or do things to side with the stronger players. Similar to the Doctor in season one, he had information on what the next game is, so he went with the strongest players. I think Dehho kind of falls into that camp, and it's just unfortunate because I know Dehho is probably one of the most popular characters of season two, and then Jihan obviously is one of the most popular characters in Squid Game. So they're just like against each other, and Jihan's not gonna lose this, but it's like, will he eliminate Dehho or not? That was actually a sad moment because that's one of the first times Jihan actually had to uh, like eliminate a player with, and it'd be personal because I know he started the rebellion, but he couldn't even do that to Sang Woo. So he was in the mindset after Jung Bae got eliminated by the frontman. What'd you say about Namgu? Namgu is actually pretty hilarious. I think his Thanos impressions could have been a bit better, but I thought he was pretty funny, especially when it was on the tabs, the pills. It was actually quite interesting because he's like this imposing character when he's next to Thanos, but as soon as he starts running out of you know, the supplements, he kind of starts breaking down. Uh, and Minsu's like normal. I think Minsu's probably the majority of people watching, actually. Like many people, even if they hate Minsu, would they'd probably be in the same boat as Minsu. Most people would probably be hiding. They're not gonna help in any way, but poor Minsu kind of took the most hated character of season two, next to Shaman Lady and Player 100. All right, let's see. Uh, I'm gonna skip to Shaman Lady actually, cause yeah. All right, so Shaman Lady, I don't like this character actually. I really hate her actually, but I think she plays the role that she should have. I should have had an okay section, which I don't for some reason. So I'm just gonna put her in good character, fun to watch. She serves her purpose. She has some funny moments. Um, all of the I think in her case, all the shaman stuff is BS. She's a pretender essentially. Um, though I do think she was offed too early. I think she was offed way too early. Do I have anything else to say about her? Nah, she served her purpose. This is a easy one. She's entertaining at times, like when they first started the hide and seek game, and she's like leading the group. She had a couple funny moments. Her like walking into the room, walking back out, and then just walking away. I'm like either that was completely the wrong direction, or there's like players in there with red vests, and lo and behold, that's exactly what happens. And her entire um, disciple group just gets separated and eliminated. So I found that pretty humorous, and it was also like irritated me. I'm like, there's no way she was the first to find the exit. Out of all the characters, she ends up finding it, which I found it strange. They don't show what the inside of the exit room looks like. They just it's like this golden light and these heaven chimes and everything, but they don't show you what it looks like on the inside. I was curious about that. So yeah, Shaman Lady, she gets an okay character. It says good, but this is like okay. I didn't have problems with it. It was just enjoyable to watch. So let's see. Let's go over. Ooh, let's go over this character right here. Her name slips my mind, but her number is 120. I think it's. Is it Hyunju? I think it's Hyunju. She. This one actually, because I really like the character. I put it under great character, but she kind of got eliminated unceremoniously, and they kind of like brushed over it because it wasn't the highlight elimination of the episode, and I just felt too soon. It felt too soon. She caught two bodies. She was willing to get more, and she almost passed the round. So I think her character as is was great, but she did not have the development that she should have got. She was definitely entertaining. So almost perfect, definitely great, but she either goes to disappointing. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put her in drop the ball. This character should have survived a lot longer and been in more arcs. I think they could have done a lot more with this character. So it goes beyond just being disappointing because she could have easily survived more rounds. She could have easily survived. Uh, actually, she probably could have survived every game that they played. The biggest thing, the thing that got her eliminated was her being like good-hearted. Like she went back to help the other two. If she didn't, she would have been unscathed in the game actually. So I'm going to go for a stretch here. She, because of her good nature, this is what gets her eliminated because there's plenty of other players in the games that they're significantly weaker than this character, but they last longer because they're not going out of the way to help others. So in a way, they didn't drop the ball. It just kind of sucks that she got eliminated so soon. So you know what? I'm gonna put her in great character. That's gonna be my final decision right there. Put her under great character because she was good-hearted. That's was her unwinding, her sealed her fate. Because we all saw her like take on the second guy. The third one walks in, just stares at her, and she's just like wiping the blood off her face. Like, you want to be next? He's like, he just pieces out of there. I didn't see anything. So every game, like jump rope, I think she could have gotten over the sprained ankle. Could have won in jump rope. Definitely could have won in the final games. So yeah, her just being good-hearted, that was her undoing right there, unfortunately. And I think that's a highlight of Squid Game in general. It's good people end up losing because they're good, and the bad people, the greedy people, the selfish people, they are the ones that get ahead and end up winning. I think I'm doing heavy lifting for Squid Game season 3 right here. I'm making stretches here. Um, it just sucks. It sucks because she was one of the best characters. Um, one of my favorites actually. So let's go here. This is Namsu. He's gonna say Namgyu. This is Namgyu. So we're gonna put Namgyu easily goes under great character and closure. I probably need to watch some of his episodes, but I think there's something that we were essentially missing from why his character is the way it is, because he wanted to he wanted to quit the games as soon as he didn't have the influence of the I'm gonna say medicine, the pills. So as soon as he didn't have that source of strength, and he didn't have like a stronger character like Thanos to kind of piggyback off of, he kind of was on his own. He wasn't in any danger because he's a dangerous character in general. You don't want to get on the bad side of this character. We saw what he was doing. Like, these people were already eliminated, but he's just checking to see if they're sleeping, which is a smart move. But this guy was clearly crazy, or it was withdrawal. Um, he died during the jump rope, and I that's actually one of my favorite moments there when Minsu, he throws the pendant, the cross onto the tracks, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna go for it. He's gonna be the first. He's gonna grab it and try to you know take the last pill inside. But as he was opening, I'm like, what if Minsu actually took the last one and just threw an empty pendant over there, just to spite Namgyu, and that's exactly what happened. That realization moment, that was shocking to me. I appreciated that episode, even though people say that the jump rope was the weakest game. I thought it was pretty entertaining, exciting. So yeah, this character served his purpose. I think the way he was taken out, I'm fine with that and everything. It was one of my favorite moments, not because I hate the character, but just because I had fun seeing his downfall. He was kind of like a lackey. And as a side note, he was even doing his impersonations of Thanos. So I really think he kind of wanted Thanos to be there, even though Thanos was kind of treating him poorly and not even saying his name correctly. He kind of still needed Thanos there as his strength, as because I guess he doesn't consider himself a main guy, kind of like the sidekick, you know. So he was even doing his impersonation. Minsu, that was a terrible one. My boy Minsu. So yeah, and he gets extra points for trying to be like Thanos. Always get points for trying. All right, next one. We have player 222. Uh, I just watched. I watched season 3 at least twice, or at least the first 4 episodes like 2 or 3 times. I still can't get some of their names correctly. But 222, she, I would say out of all the characters, since she was displayed prominently in season 2 and season 3, I'm actually going to give her perfect development and entertaining. I think all they could have done with this character was done, and having like a newborn and a mom in the games adds a little spice into the mix there. Every moment of that, I think some people were saying like the water shouldn't break, and then like 5 minutes later you're giving birth. That shouldn't happen. There should be like an interval there, 30 minutes, an hour. But looking past some of the things that aren't real in our fictional world of Squid Game here, I think they handled her situation pretty good, and obviously this changes the entirety of the next few episodes. But her giving birth, her having the baby, certain stuff like, because I was watching it with a friend, and we're like, and I was saying, would it be better to leave the baby in the dorms while they play the next game, or take the baby with you? Because what if something happens to the baby while you're not there? But what if something happens to the baby while you're playing the games? And then they had a moment where she leaves the baby on the bed, tries to walk away, the baby starts crying, you know, and probably hits parents a lot more because the baby's crying because you know the mom's walking away. So it's just like a messed up situation overall. And the mom of 007 was a 149. She kind of she was kind of like there for her, kind of like a mother to her as well, or a grandmother to the child. And I guess since I didn't really talk about how she was 149 was eliminated, that moment as well when they see her from the ropes or the bed sheets was, and she and 222 is crying and everything, and then seeing MGCoin in the back there, seeing the whole situation was, it was heartbreaking because this character essentially lost hope because all the players, they wanted to still play. They didn't care about the mom or the baby, and I took that as her heart being broken again, and her just hope being shattered because she had to eliminate her own son essentially, and now she realized how cruel other people can be, how indifferent other people are of other people's situations. So that entire part was disheartening, and I was watching a couple people's reactions to it, and a lot of people, they, because she was a lot of people's favorite character. She's definitely among mine. So, and we had just lost uh, a couple other characters, so it makes it that much worse there. But I think this was the catalyst for Jihon kind of understanding the gravity of protecting the baby, essentially. Okay. All right. So next up we have 246. Did they name his character? Because I remember in like the at least the fifth episode, the subtitles was still saying they're saying this character, the sick daughter's father, as his name. So I'm not sure if they named him, but 246, this character here, he I'm probably using this category as a scapegoat. Um, he didn't really do much actually. I'm gonna put him in good. It was entertaining to see them break out a player, uh, like Soldier 11 break out a player. They didn't really do too much actually though, and yeah, I don't have too much to say about it. I didn't dislike him, but I also didn't like him, and he didn't do too much. And we kind of don't get much from him until the last couple episodes because he's disguised as a soldier. So, but he does get his closure. He gets home. He's still painting, and his daughter gets better. So he kind of contributes to the happy ending situation. So I'm gonna put him in good character and fun to watch. But he definitely wasn't one of my favorite parts about season three. And I just honestly don't have too much to say about 246. 246's daughter. uh, whoops, disappointing. No, no, I'm just kidding. There's a ongoing meme where this baby's like evil or whatever for some reason. Um, I'm just gonna uh, put in this category. It goes the same. This was definitely an arc. Uh, the thing is, most of the characters in the Squid Game, they oh hello Kami Osama. The Yeah, I'm still coming off the emotions of Squid Game season three. I'm still deciding if how well it ranks, but it's right now I put season one as the best, and I'd have to rewatch season two again. But season three is right now my second favorite. I just feel like season two doesn't have enough closure, or it feels incomplete for obvious reasons. Uh, but season three it didn't pay off certain things that it should have, essentially. But yeah, this I keep saying baby, but it's not a baby. The daughter here, I would say it's okay, and I don't have too much to say about that. We didn't get much from the father because he wasn't in the games. I'm wondering what everyone else thinks about that entire story arc because I have the player 11 here. I will put player or soldier 11. I forget her name too. Should probably do like some game show type thing where I try to remember all the names, and if I don't, I get like a punishment. I'll put her great character and closure. I actually did like her character, and I liked her situation. She was like North Korean, was it diverter? Ah, I'm forgetting all my words right now, but basically she escaped, but her family was still there, and the file that she found it said like husband and daughter deceased, but at the end it says that the daughter is still alive somewhere in China, and I can't remember if they actually confirmed or not whether that was true, but it left that bit of shining hope there, because the guy from the first season, Cybiok's, what do they call him? It's like a not like a trafficker, but uh, agent. I'll just say agent for lack of better words. The same agent is also helping her out. So I found that pretty cool. Actually, I found that pretty cool that Sabyok's brother finally got reunited with the mom after so long. That was beautiful. So her helping out 246, she was actually pretty awesome. All the like they got to showcase how well of a combat specialist she was. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like her climbing to the elevator to retrieve the weapon, and the frontman stand-in. I'm gonna call him the frontman stand-in. He realized last second but got lit up. So I think all her scenes were pretty cool, and the ending where she's burning all the files to make sure 246 has there's no evidence of 246, and her kind of like sitting and watching the final moments of the game, which I'll get to once we get to that character, and her getting that hope at the end to kind of continue on. I found that pretty beautiful, and I think it's pretty important to the story overall because seeing a lot of these characters that shouldn't have lasted as long making it to the finale was for me at least. I'm like, these are probably the people that would make it because they're selfish. They don't care about anyone else, and they're willing to trample over others or hide behind others to get ahead. So you kind of lose hope in a lot of the people, and I think that's what the front men wanted. So Jihon's surrounded by all these greedy individuals, and that's the thing with the final game. It's like Jihon, the vulnerable one. I'll get to that one, and I mean I'll just say it. Jihon, the baby, and they're all surrounded by these characters no one really likes. I think there's some people who are like Mungchi, MGCoin. They're still like, yeah, he's all right. He's no one's favorite, but they don't hate him. They might dislike him because he's like a trash boyfriend, maybe trash dad because he's. Until then, he didn't say anything about the baby. Um, I have a lot to say about him actually, so I'll just wait till then. Um, so I'm fine with putting her here. Actually, you know what? In her case, because she shouldn't have been as good as she was, so I'm gonna put her in perfect development. She was entertaining, and the way her story ends is it's realistic because you don't know if the information is correct or not. You kind of just hope. So I think she has a good closure. All right, let's drop the ball. Let's see. Is this Minsu? Yes, it is. Minsu, my boy. We are gonna put Minsu. I'm gonna have a caveat with this character, but I'm gonna say they dropped the ball with Minsu. Between disappointing and drop the ball, um, I think they dropped the ball with Minsu. He was nobody's favorite. Actually, someone in the chat actually did say he was their favorite character. Um, okay, he was maybe a couple people's favorite characters, but everyone was pretty mad at him because he didn't save Sumi. He like dropped the bottle, missed, and then he like curled up, which is funny because the majority of people are probably Minsu if they join these games. In reality, they're probably Minsu. So I was hoping they'd turn Minsu into kind of like a at least a intelligent or smart character, but his character is kind of tragic. Oh gosh, the more I think about it, actually, I might need to change this category. I'd say they dropped the ball with him because he kind of didn't really do anything. He just became spiteful. He became kind of like another, I guess, instrument for the plot and other people's story arcs. But at the same time, his character reflects a lot of people in real life, how they'd behave if they're in these types of games. And he reminds me of someone who's just like severely bullied and put into these situations. Uh, you know what? He also had some pretty interesting moments. I'm going to put him in good. His character was much better in season 3. No, no, no. He's going back to drop the ball. I enjoyed watching his character. So he's fun to watch, but they did drop the ball with this character. Pretty much how I see it, he's not a strong character mentally, physically. Um, he is incapable of like protecting others, and I think that messes with his mind a lot, and he's beating himself over it as likely the worst thing he could have done in his mind. Probably to a lot of people, he betrayed the girl, because he was too weak to stand up and protect her. So he aims his anger and frustration at Namgyu, which makes sense because he's being a. I was gonna use profanity. I'm thinking of an alternative word. He was being very rude and acting like a donkey to Minsu. Um, but he was a scared character to begin with, and he died being scared as well. I think the way his character ends or gets eliminated is pretty shattering because he breaks down. Everyone's ganging up on him on the corner, and he's like, "What did I do to deserve this? I didn't do anything. Why is it me? Why are you guys doing this to me?" Essentially, and he really goes into like you know a trapped cat in a corner or a trapped mouse in a corner. He's ready to fight his way or at least bring somebody with him, which is buys him some extra time. Um, and MGCoin pretty much, yo, buys him some extra time. I enjoyed watching this character though. Uh, that scene actually was one of my favorite scenes of the that final game though. Him being eliminated by being pushed off because it's just sad that that's the fate of that character. But he lasted so long. Well, I guess he didn't make himself a target essentially, so he lasted a lot longer than a lot of other people. All right, who we got next? Ooh, all right, player 100. Player 100. This guy. Hmm. All right, so I'm gonna put him in. No, no, no. He doesn't get perfect. I'm gonna put him in. I'm gonna put him in great character enclosure. Because he's supposed to be hated, and everyone absolutely does hate this character. Essentially, he's like egging on everyone to continue the games. Who cares about the other players? Weak. Um, when in reality, this character is actually pretty weak, and perhaps he's supposed to be a symbolism for someone who's high up on the corporate ladder, and he kind of uses the strength of others to get his way, which is reflected in the games. The Shaman Lady found him, brought him to the exit, and he betrayed her, got her eliminated. He actually did this with another character too in that same game, and he always like in the jump rope game. He says, "Let me pass" when the guy was kicking people off, which I probably should have put that character in here. He was entertaining AF to watch. When it was his turn to kind of cross the bridge, he said, let me pass. I'll help you keep the other people from passing." So he like switched up immediately. He's like, "Just let me through, and I'll help you keep the other people off the platform," which is probably true. But he does the same thing in the end. He kind of tries to talk his way, manipulate others into getting the results he wants because he's not a physically fit character. He's not a intimidating character. He rallies other people to kind of do it for him. So at the end, he was like, "We can all split the money, us six. Oh, I mean us seven, because he kept forgetting the baby. He said, "I'll give you some of my winnings if you let me live." He kept trying to talk his way out of everything. So I found it entertaining. Many people didn't like it, but I found that pretty entertaining. Um, and I think people said he didn't get a brutal enough elimination, but I think them showing him on the ground and it's like his head's busted and you see like bits of the brain matter everywhere. I think that was quite fitting. Though we should probably also note that actually a lot of these players they were eliminated by falling off a high place. What was that? One, Cause Namgyu he fell off. One, two, three, four. Okay. I mean, four is too much for like main characters. Like they all fell off from a high place. But I digress. I digress. Player 100, you might not like it, but I thought he was pretty entertaining to watch, and he served his purpose as like a villain. Many people say he lasted way too long. Probably right. In reality, his character would probably last this long though. That's probably how he survives in the real world. Though it didn't work out well for him if he had the most debt. So on to the next one, MGCoin. And as a side note, before I put him there, I'm going to I'm going to rearrange the rankings of all these characters. These are like my initial thoughts on where I think they should go. The only one that's not switching places is the detective. Like I made this category specifically for him because that that's ridiculous right there. That's ridiculous. Um, MG Koi Mungji, probably a hot take, and I'm gonna have to back it up. But I'm gonna put him in the perfect development and entertaining column. Even though he's a trash daddy, he's a terrible boyfriend. I think his character is the cornerstone for the types of people that would be in the Squid game, would be in these games essentially. So, do I love the character? Actually, yeah, he's. I really like the character as a villain, and at least for me, because you see throughout that this character, I'm gonna keep calling him MG Coin or Crypto. Crypto here, he kind of flip flops between he wants to do right by 222, but he also wants more money. So I'm thinking he convinces himself that he actually wants to help her out and take care of the baby, but he just can't overcome his greed essentially. Like I said, he was greed's final boss, or the final boss of greed essentially, because uh, on the outside, the crypto, and he's in here. He wants to continue the games, and during the hide and seek game, he didn't need to eliminate more players. But as soon as Namgyu said that, he heard it, and there's like he had like a hit of dopamine. He's like, more money. That's twice as much money if we eliminate one extra person. You get two people's shares. So him just hearing that put him into like this mode to where he was willing to do all of this regardless. Oh, what was this? Okay. All right, it's nothing. He was willing to keep eliminating other players, and I think he did feel bad eliminating player 120, and I think he wanted to actually help her across the bridge until he found out it would be too much trouble with her leg. And it's hard to tell in the final game, but I think he did actually care a sliver about the baby when they're all trying to gang up on her, the baby. And for the final game at least, maybe at the very beginning when it started, he was willing to protect the baby until it came time to actually protecting the baby, because he didn't have to tell the others that he was a father. But at the same time, someone could say that he needed to get rid of some of those stronger players that he was doing the votes with. So it was strategic to kind of switch sides at that moment. Uh, but that's why I think this character is pretty good, because it's not until like the final moments where at least it clicked for me. I'm like, this guy can't overcome his greed. He doesn't even want the baby to pass in the final game because he won't press the button. I guess in his mind, he'll feel obligated to take care of the baby on the outside. So he's like, wait, even though I'd get the baby's money, I feel guilty, and I don't want to feel guilty. So what if the baby wasn't in the equation? I'd have all the money, and no obligation to take care of the baby. At least that's how I took, because there's no reason why he couldn't like um he'd get the baby's money. He's got rights. He's got father rights. So I'd put him up here. I think his development was fine. He kind of is ominous in the beginning. He's obviously he disappears. He's detached from 222, but there's still plenty of times where he can make a clear decision uh, to step into the morally right category. But each time he kind of messes up, and ultimately he gives into his greed and he chooses that he wants to win the games as the sole winner. And I think that's kind of brilliant for him to kind of be like the final a finalist of the final three. So I say that's pretty brilliant, his character, and he earns the well, he definitely doesn't earn the father of the year. He's a trash boyfriend, trash dad, trash friend. No wonder why the crypto dudes they left him. All right. Okay. This is for player 222, the youngest billionaire in the world. Like a day old, and you have more money than a majority of the people on the planet. So I'm gonna consider this like the baby being in the games as well. The baby doesn't get perfect development because we don't know anything about the baby. Um, Closure. So I'm gonna put it here. Good character, not good character. Mainly the fun to watch here. The baby added a interesting take to the games, though the entire plot line and story arcs kind of had to cater to this baby being in the games, which would probably happen anyways. But characters kind of get sidelined for the baby, and Jihon. It can be argued that Jihon didn't develop as a character. He kind of, but no, like at the same time, the baby brings back that hope, because that's what the that's what 222, that's what the player 149, the mom, they wanted. The baby kind of represented hope for them, and that's like Jihan's main thing, kind of convinces him to like have his original mindset, because first episode he says that the frontman wins. uh, he won. Jihan was broken after that, and the baby kind of reminds Jihan of his daughter, and his daughter being like the watching his daughter growing up being the happiest parts of his life. So ultimately, the baby was quite important to Jihan's development as well. I'll go over that since we Jihan's coming up here. Let's see, Frontman. All right, so Frontman doesn't get perfect development because he's supposed to be mysterious on purpose though. He's not getting the top two categories because I feel like there's not enough closure. But he's definitely he wasn't entertaining in this one though. He was better in season two, for obvious reasons. I'm going to put him teeter-tottering between disappointing and dropping the ball. I'm going to say they dropped the ball with this character. Not enough to actually ruin this character, but for example, the brothers, the brothers, they're at the bottom. They're supposed to have this standoff, or at least this important dialogue, because they're brothers. He shot his brother. Where was this exchange that should have happened? It should have been more than 10 seconds. They just look at each other. He turns his back on him, and that's the end of that. Obviously, seeing Jihun decide that the baby deserves to live and win, even if it means eliminating himself, I think that kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back for the frontman, because he had it in his mind that, humans are horses essentially. You can bet on them, and they're gonna do terrible things because that's what people do. And Jihan was a shining example of that not being 100% true, that not being fact. That there's good people, and you shouldn't count on humanity to just be this way essentially. So there's that understanding, and I think that's kind of why, like, in the end, he gives the 222, the baby, to his brother, and the card, obviously, because the baby can't take care of itself. So there's always that part. It's not really closure. A lot of people don't like that the baby was in the games, but I think it's fine. I think it's an interesting point. Frontman, he visits L.A. essentially at the end. He gives, and he goes out his way to do this. He didn't have to, but he lets Jihan's daughter inherit the money, but he also gives Jihan's tracksuit to the daughter. You know, so he gives the daughter kind of closure, or an update, like Jihan passed away essentially, and he obviously had to collect the money from the motel, and then redeposit into the bank account, you know, and give it to the daughter. So he goes out of his way to do this, and that's when we find out that Kate Blanchett is a recruiter for the American Squid Games. So, but I think they dropped the ball when it comes to his like dynamics between other characters. There should have been more between Frontman and Jihan, obviously. Especially since they came face to face, he takes off his mask. This is the guy that betrayed you and eliminated your best friend right in front of you. He pretended to be by your side. You guys kind of like bonded, and he essentially betrayed him. And he offers Jihan the same opportunity that Nam, player one in season one, offered him. So we get a glimpse of his games that he did, and he straight up eliminates the rest of the players before the final game commences. And Jihan doesn't accept that. And since I'm talking about Jihan, I didn't really like. He wasn't my favorite character in season one because he was too like good, too righteous, and he didn't really get his hands dirty. Other people had to do the dirty work for him, and then he like uh, hold it against those characters for having to do the dirty work. For example, Sangwoo pushing the glassmaker off. If he didn't do that, they all would have died. Or Sangwoo, just all the stuff that Sangwoo did, because all the other characters had to do something terrible, and Jion could kind of just like sit by and benefit from it, but also call those people out on it. So the writing didn't give him any opportunity to like test what kind of person he is when the time came. So, and in season two we got a glimpse of that. Like Jihan was ready to sacrifice all those players just so he can end the games, which was a terrible plan. Like I was on Dehjo's side. I'm like, it's not his fault. It's your fault. You let all these people get eliminated during the lights out section, and then let them go up against this organization that they're not going to win against. And it's your fault. It was a terrible plan. You let your personal vendetta get a whole bunch of people eliminated. And to be fair, he admits as much at the end of the episode. He's like, "It is my fault. It's all my fault." So, but him going from that to the baby giving him hope to ensuring that the baby lives, and like essentially not letting go of the baby the entire time, and I'm taking into account season one and season two. I think like Jihon is a pretty well-rounded character by the end of this. I'm actually gonna put him in perfect development, and he's entertaining to watch. Um, he took more initiative in the later games. Actually, all the games of season two and three because he's been through them before. So he was entertaining to watch in these games, and in the final game he handled himself pretty well, even though he didn't do too much dialogue. But that was like the final thing to show the front man. We aren't things to be betted on. We're living people, and there is hope because he was willing to eliminate himself so that this new life can have a chance at living. So he put aside not just one year's winning, but 2 years winning because he could have won twice. He gave it all up so that this new life can thrive essentially. And there's something heartwarming about that because he sacrifices himself, which is like a total 180 from MGCoin Monkey, who would have straight up sacrificed both of them to win. So I think I think he's well deserving of this spot actually. All right, so now that we've ranked all 16 of these characters, it's time to put them where they actually belong. So, Pointless Detective. So, jokes aside, I'm going to say they actually ruined this character. They ruined this one because he was supposed to be like smart, paying attention, especially in season one when he infiltrated everything. He did more in season one than he did in season two and season three. And essentially, he was supposed to save everyone before the game started. He ended up not saving anyone. Well, he saved technically only one person, 246, who was on his way out, and he helped eliminate the last soldiers. He only saved one player because Frontman saved the baby. So by the time he finds the island, everyone's already dead, including Jihon. So they kind of ruined this character because he didn't find out that the Captain Park was with was in association with the front man. So the loan shark did his job for him. The loan shark should be the detective, which is funny. He goes from crime to taking down crime essentially. So I think they ruined the detective's character. Let's go with Dehjo. I'm gonna say Dehjo was disappointing. He just didn't get enough time to actually flesh out after the season two thing happening. And a lot of people are probably even more upset than I am because it came down to him just lying, but we weren't able to flesh that out. I'm not sure what more you could have done with the character, honestly. With the stolen valor, besides going more in depth with this character. But they already did that in season two with him growing up with sisters, him him struggling with the weapons reloading, and him having that paralyzing fear, essentially. So there wasn't much you could do. It's just kind of disappointing that he was like a fan favorite, and now his reputation was tarnished, and his character had no time to kind of make a rebound, essentially. So I'm keep him in disappointing. Whoa, I can actually change it. All right, so if I could change this, I'm gonna put it. Can I? Yes, I can actually change it. All right, I'm gonna put this into decent. This is bothering me. Disappointing because the G's left off. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'll keep this indecent. Minsu. Minsu actually deserves decent. And out of all these characters, I found him the best. Drop the ball. Disappointing. Here, I'm gonna put Frontman because drop the ball and disappointing kind of deserve their own category. This goes to NA, not available. All right, so disappointing for obvious reasons. His interactions with Jihon and his brother should have been more fleshed out. Should have been part of the conversation more. Um, Shaman Lady, she goes indecent. She played her role. She had some funny moments. These two, they 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 weren't in it much, so don't have much too much to say about those. The baby. So here I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna simplify it to great and good closure. All right. All right. So I'm actually gonna move the baby up. Hold on. Let me. Okay. So these are in order. Disappointing. I think more disappointing for Frontman since he was such a entertaining and good character in season two. Uh, so he goes higher up on the list for me. Mm, yeah, actually ruined this one. For this one, great and good closure. Damn. The to the baby. So the mother and son, they're gonna stay up here just because they're dynamic. Obviously, there could have been so much more with these two. However, as the story stands, I think they contributed to everything, and they're a big emotional part of the second episode, third episode, and setting up the the final moments in the show. So they stay here. Baby actually deserves here. Um, Player 120 might be my favorite character aside from Jihun, but she didn't get good closure. I think a lot more could have been done with that, and her elimination was kind of brushed over, sadly. So she goes here. Um, the opposite with Namgyu. He's one of the better characters, I say. He kind of got good closure, but he wasn't as great of a character essentially. Player 100, entertaining to watch. I love the anarchy he brought just by being a weak character, but rallying others to kind of be his sword and shield, while he just like gave commands or incited, you know, incited conflict essentially. Okay, so all right, this category is all right. And then perfect development. I think Jihon definitely deserves to be in the front. 222. I'm gonna put MGCoin second, just because I thought it was pretty intense, like them facing off as essentially the final two. Even though it's three of them, essentially the final two, and you have this excellent character who's morally good, essentially, and you have this character who has finally made the full decision. No more teeter tottering. He's like, I'm just gonna be who I am on the inside, but also on the outside. He decides he wants the money, and he's gonna do whatever it takes. Even believing these stretches, like, oh, what if I'm not even the real father? Maybe it's you. That's why you're protecting her so much. Essentially, using any small justification to kind of um, give him more reason to be as terrible as he was. So I'll put MG Coin second. I think his development was pretty cool, and I liked him as a villain, essentially, because they set that up all throughout where he cared in this moment, but he easily flipped in the next moment when there's more money on the line, essentially. 222, she served her purpose essentially, but she was able to develop and have her moments as well. So yeah, she goes third. Uh, Soldier 11. Trying to think. Actually, to be honest, I like Soldier 11. I forget her name, but I like her character a lot more than 222. I found her backstory a lot interesting, and she kind of like paved the way for people being curious about the recruitment process for the soldiers and where what their backgrounds are essentially. So I like her backstory. I like when she was on screen, she was pretty cool, and she is one of the characters that actually gets closure and a glimpse of hope at the end as well. So no complaints with her character essentially. Is this all the characters? So this is all the I want to do mainly players and a couple of like the people involved in the games. I could have added on like the loan shark, maybe Captain Park, or I don't know, even the dog essentially. But I want to focus on these players here. So essentially, I guess most of the characters either decent, either decent with some disappointing aspects, or they are great but controversial. Like all these characters. Um, Actually, I don't think anything's bad has been said about Namgyu. People hate Player 100 and they say he shouldn't have lasted as long. They're like I'm repeating what I said, but they're probably right. However, in a real situation, this kind of character does live a lot longer than some of the better characters. So this character, I think this character is great. Most people probably think this character is great, Player 120, but we all agree too soon. This person was eliminated. The baby is controversial. I think the baby is either you hate it or you love it. There's kind of like no in between because the baby sets the stage for the rest of the series, and depending on how you see it, the baby kind of represents the baby surviving represents what everything the Squid Game, the game makers say is not true of society, essentially, because Ilnam in season one at the end, he's betting that no one's going to help the homeless man on the street. They're going to let him expire, essentially, and I think that's quite an important detail because they expect, like, oh, who would save the baby? They're all the VIPs were expecting them to kind of throw it, but Jihon does the unthinkable in their minds, essentially. So either you hate this idea or you love it, and some people they hate that it came to this decision, essentially either Jihon or 222's baby. So I think it's a pretty great plot thread. So all these are controversial. People didn't like how 149, the mom, was eliminated. They think it got brushed over too quick. Um, and people didn't really like the son, and they're kind of expecting more between their dynamic. However, I think it's more so the mom that people were iffy on. Not iffy, but found controversial. So, uh, many tears later. I mean tears as in these tears, not as in tear maker. Many tears later, um, we finish this series, and obviously we get that glimpse of what's next to come. Some people say don't milk it, but I really liked season three, but not to the point where I'm like I don't need any other Squid Game. It's not like oh the perfect book doesn't need a sequel or anything else. Uh, I'm I'm in the boat where I'd love to see more Squid Game. I'd love to see American Squid Game, uh, an Indian Squid Game, Japanese Squid Game. Like I want to see what else is done around the world, essentially. And maybe you don't need a whole series for that. Perhaps they can do an anthology series where one episode is game three of a Japanese Squid Game. Episode two is game six of Brazilian Squid Game. They can do like an anthology series where they don't need to set up for an entire season. They kind of have to do the heavy lifting within one episode, which is possible because we've seen good anthologies and good short stories essentially. Just make the episodes like an hour and 20, you know. something like that, or a first Squid Game, essentially. Like, what was the first Squid Game like? I'd like to see more content from that, so I'm in that boat. Anyways, this is gone on too long. I'm going to end it here. Everyone who has stayed to watch, everyone who came in, watched a bit of it, I thank all of you. I had fun going over this. This kind of got all my thoughts together, even though it's not as coherent. Like, I'm not like an expert. I'm not like a reviewer or spokesperson. I'm just someone who really loves Squid Game. You know, I have the jacket. I have the Dakji. I even have the. Where are they? Somewhere over here. Here they are. I even have the these things right here. I forgot the this game specifically. I'll hold these up here. Yes. Also, for reference, I live in Southeast Asia, so everything's in Chinese for me here. Do I speak Chinese? Yes, I speak it a little bit. Um, if you enjoyed what I had to say here, I'm definitely going to be doing more stuff like this. I'll probably try to stream a day actually. So if you enjoyed just like watching and being a part of this or what I have to say, please leave a comment. Please leave a like, and see you guys on the next one. Peace.